Hi, I'm Senator Marco Rubio. It's my privilege and honor to serve you here in the United States Senate on behalf of the great state of Florida. And this is this week's edition of Constituent Mailbox. Every week we read your emails, your letters, and we pick a few, read them here on the air, and answer your questions. So please write us or send us your letters, because you never know, maybe yours will be the next one we read. This week I gave a speech at the Jack Kemp Foundation where I was honored with the Jack Kemp Award, only the second time they've given that award. Obviously, Jack Kemp was a great champion of upward mobility and empowering the middle class, empowering all Americans to be better and leave their children better off than themselves. So it was a hero of mine in politics and someone I greatly admired, someone I got to meet a few times, and I was just so honored to receive that award. At the same time, I gave a speech where I talked about the reality of the 21st century. And what I hear every day when I go back to Florida, in the grocery store, at my kids' games, at my daughter's cheerleading competitions, is everyday Americans from all walks of life that are really anxious. Because two things are happening out there. They can't find jobs, and they're afraid for the future. Now, why is that happening? Why is it so hard today to make it and stay in the middle class for so many people? There's two reasons for that. The first is our economy's not producing these jobs fast enough. And the second thing that's happening is that too many of our people don't have the skills that they need to do the new middle class jobs. So the solution lies from a government perspective, there's things government can do. The solution lies in, number one, putting forth government policies that encourage economic growth. Economic growth leads to job creation. Job creation leads to opportunities. At the same time, of course, if these jobs are being created, but people don't have the skills to do these jobs, well then, of course, they're going to struggle to make it. So we have to do both, and there's something government can do in both regards. Let me read you some of the letters that we've gotten in regards to that. Maureen from Fort Walton Beach writes, I'm a nurse practitioner who worked at night and took courses and did my clinicals by day. I'm a huge fan of yours, thank you, Maureen, and would like to be involved in helping you decipher the Health Care Act and how it affects nurses. I have also many ideas on how we can move forward after the last disappointing election. I had to put myself through school many years ago after my parents divorced and my father went to prison. We lost everything and my mom worked hard so her 3 daughters could get a good education. Please help us change the course of our country. I did build it myself. Thank you. Well, Maureen, first of all, thank you for your encouragement. Let me say that Maureen's story is very typical of a lot of people, including people in my own family. My sister went back to school in her mid-30s and got her degree, and it allowed her today to have a middle-class job. Maureen is an example of that. For a lot of people, that's very difficult. If you have 2 kids and you're trying to raise a family and you have to work full-time, you can't leave all that and go back to school. But there's these innovations in education today. You can take online courses. You can take a combination of courses from different places online. The point is, we have to create an education system that builds the reality, that addresses the reality of the 21st century student. Now, of course, there's still going to be plenty of students that graduate high school and go to college, and that's the traditional student. But we have a lot of non-traditional students, folks in their mid-20s, mid-30s, mid-40s, that need to go back and get an advanced degree in order for them to have a better job. They can't be full-time students. They can't move from Miami to Gainesville to get a job, to go to school. They have to be able to both work and go to school. We have to make it easier for them to do that. So we have to encourage innovation, and the innovation's already happening. But what we have to make sure is that nothing that we do in government discourages it. For example, our financial aid programs. Right now, the way we decide whether we're going to pay for college or not is what we do is we certify colleges, and that's fine. But we also have to certify courses. That means that we have to be willing to certify a particular course that's offered online as a college course and allow for financial aid to pay for the costs of that. And you know, these new advances in education technology, it's going to lower the time that it takes to get these degrees and the cost of getting these degrees. But we have to make sure that we don't discourage it in the way we give out financial aid. So Maureen's story is an inspiration, and we need to make sure that we're meeting the needs of more people like that. William from Fernandina Beach writes, I work at Shands, Jacksonville as a surgical technologist, and my wife works for a small business as a physical therapy assistant, and neither one of us has had a raise in salary in more than 3 years. My wife has had her hours cut in half because there are no patients to see. Her boss is thinking of closing one of the 2 businesses because he can't afford to keep both offices open. We have been in our new home for 8 years, and it is increasingly hard to keep it and pay the bills. Both of our boys are on their own, and they have together our 3 grandchildren. Me and my wife and I can't afford more taxes. Please do the best you can to come to a solution soon. Actually, I'm glad you bring this up, William. There's 2 issues going on here, obviously. The first is that some people don't have health insurance, so they can't go either for compensated care to the hospital you work at or for the clinic your wife works at. We have to address that. We do have a health insurance problem in America, and the solution to that is not a big government plan. The solution solution to that is to create the conditions for a vibrant private insurance market where every single American can buy an insurance plan that meets their specific needs. You know, my health insurance needs are different than someone else's health insurance needs. Every single one of us should be able to buy a health insurance plan that meets our particular needs, but also at a cost we can afford. And to do that, you should be able to buy insurance from any company in America that will sell it to you. And you should be able to buy it with tax-free dollars if you buy it for yourself, the way your employer gets tax-free dollars to buy it for you. The second point you raise is about the small business. Now, I don't know the details of your wife's boss, but let me just tell you from the way you've described it, the fact that they own a couple clinics, this is probably a subchapter S corporation. It's probably a small business that pays their taxes not on the corporate rate, but on the personal rate. That's one of the big changes that's happened in the American economy over the last 20 years. A lot of our businesses no longer pay taxes as corporations. They pay taxes on their individual rate, their personal rate. And so if the boss makes over $250,000 a year, their taxes are going to go up. Now, what happens if your boss's taxes go up at their business? Well, they have to make up the money somewhere. They can either eat it, they can take the loss, but most people aren't going to do that. Instead, they have to find the money from somewhere. One way they can find the money is by raising prices. And that's obviously not good for you and I and the consumer, the people who buy the goods and services. If the price goes up, that raises our cost of living. But most businesses, like a clinic, they can't raise their costs because it's whatever the insurance is contracted to pay for. So that's out of the picture. So what other options does your wife's boss have to save money to pay for those taxes if his taxes go up or her taxes go up? Well, here's the only two options that they have. They can cut the hours of their employees. They can cut investment in the business, which is not good for our economy. They can stop hiring people. They can close one of the two clinics because it costs too much money to keep open. In the end, if you raise taxes on small businesses such as this, who's going to pay the ultimate price? It isn't the person making the $250,000 a year, because they're going to figure out a way to get through. They're going to do what they need to do to keep afloat. It's the people that work for them. So when you raise taxes on your boss, you're raising taxes on the worker. And that's why I'm so against what the president is proposing. It's not about a pledge. It's not about protecting millionaires and billionaires. It's about the fact that it's going to hurt the middle-class jobs. It's going to hurt people that are looking for a job. And here's the worst part of it. It doesn't do anything for the debt. If you told me, well, the president's proposing job tax increases to pay off the debt, at least we could have a debate about it. But the point is, it doesn't do anything about the debt. But it's going to destroy middle-class jobs, jobs like the one your wife has. And that's why I'm against it. That's why these tax increases don't work. They don't generate enough money for the debt, but they hurt our economy. And I'm not voting for anything that hurts our economy or job creation. We simply can't afford that. Well, I'm grateful to all of you for the letters and the emails that you sent us. I know this is a busy time of year with Christmas and Hanukkah right around the corner, and so much excitement with the New Year around the corner as well. And so I just want to wish all of you a healthy holiday season, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. We'll stay in touch next week when we're back in session. A lot of big issues going on here in Washington. We have to avoid the fiscal cliff, of course, because that wouldn't be good for our country. But ultimately, we have to solve the real fiscal cliff, which is a $16 trillion debt and no plan to deal with it. And the sooner we deal with that, the better off we're all going to be. Well, thank you so much for the privilege and honor of serving you here in the United States Senate. Please keep emailing us, keep writing us. Last week alone, we got over 30,000 emails. And that input is important for us. We read every single one of them, and it tells us what's on your mind. It helps us focus on the issues that really matter. And who knows, maybe next week your email or your letter is the one we'll read on the air. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and God bless all of you. May God always bless the United States of America.